Okay, so picture this. A warship gets sunk in the middle of the ocean. A global superpower immediately takes the credit. But a third country, the one that just hosted that ship as a guest, says absolutely nothing. Not a word. Let's dive into this bizarre story of a torpedo, a really strange silence, and a question that's now echoing across the entire Indian Ocean. It all kicks off with this just incredibly blunt admission. The U.S. War Secretary just comes right out and says it. An American sub sank an Iranian warship. There's no trying to hide it, no denial, just boom, a cold, hard fact. And that one statement sets the stage for everything that comes next. But here's the thing. This wasn't just some random ship out in international waters. Nope. To really get what's going on here, you have to know where this ship had just come from. Because its final journey, well, it started in a very, very friendly port. So let's just walk through the timeline, right? For 10 days, this Iranian warship, the IRIS Dena, was an honored guest of the Indian Navy. It leaves port on February 26th, and just 2 days later, it's at the bottom of the sea, not even that far from India's coast. It's just wild. And this isn't just about a piece of military equipment. On board that ship were 180 sailors. These are men who just days before were being welcomed on Indian soil, treated like friends. The U.S. called it a quiet death for the ship, but for the people on board, it was a totally devastating human tragedy. So what does it even mean to be an honored guest here? Well, it definitely wasn't just a quick pit stop for fuel. The Dinaisa was an active, celebrated part of a huge international event that India was hosting. Get this. The Decana was participating in India's big international fleet review. Its crew was out and about, touring the city, taking selfies with locals, even going shopping. I mean, Iran sent this ship knowing there were tensions with the U.S. That's a huge signal of trust in their Indian host to keep them safe. And this was all official, very public. Look at this statement from the Indian Navy itself. They're welcoming the ship as a symbol of deep, historic cultural ties. This whole thing was a diplomatic event, a celebration of a relationship. So the key takeaway here is this wasn't just any old ship. It was a friend's ship. Which brings us right to the heart of the mystery. After your guest gets attacked and sunk practically on your doorstep, you'd expect a pretty strong reaction from the host, right? But instead, what we got from India was just a deafening silence. And that's the question that everyone in India, critics, defense experts, you name it, they all started asking it immediately. I mean, think about it. A guest is attacked moments after leaving your home. How could you possibly say nothing? No condemnation, no expression of regret, not even a simple message of sympathy for the sailors who died. Nothing. And India's silence looks even louder when you see what other countries did. While Russia's ambassador was literally in Delhi signing a condolence book, and Sri Lanka's foreign minister was publicly expressing concern, the Indian government was just totally mute. The only time the government broke its silence was to issue this fact check. It wasn't to condemn the sinking or offer condolences. It was to deny a totally separate claim that the U.S. was using Indian ports for its operations. To a lot of people, this looked way less like careful diplomacy and a whole lot more like changing the subject. So, as you can probably guess, this wall of silence did not go over well back home. A huge wave of criticism just erupted from pretty much everywhere: political opponents, former diplomats, and top strategic experts. The main opposition leader, Rahul Gandhi, he did not hold back at all. He basically framed the whole thing as India giving up its ability to make its own foreign policy decisions, even calling the prime minister compromised. Pretty strong words. Then you have the strategic angle. Defense expert Brahmachalani pointed out that this isn't just about one ship. He argued that when you let a guest get attacked right after they leave your party, it's a direct insult to you, the host. It just completely wrecks your reputation, your ability to bring other nations to the table. And from a former ambassador, we got this take, that this silence, it's not some clever 4D chess move. No, he sees it as a sign of weakness, a sign that India is getting backed into a corner by bigger powers and doesn't know what to do. So why the silence? I mean, there has to be a reason, right? Well, critics started digging into the complicated world of geopolitics, and one agreement in particular with the United States suddenly came into very sharp focus. It's this thing called LIMOA. It's a big military pact signed back in 2016.
And it's basically designed to make it super easy for the US and Indian militaries to help each other out, sharing bases for repairs and supplies. It was seen as a huge sign of a deepening partnership. But now, after what happened to the Dena, experts are asking a really tough question. Is this agreement, which was supposed to be about cooperation, actually destroying India's neutrality? Is it dragging India into America's fights, whether it wants to be there or not?
Wow, this quote from Brahmachalini just sums up the damage perfectly. For years, India has been building this image of itself as a peaceful global leader, a soft power that brings people together. And the argument here is that one torpedo and the silence that came after has just completely shattered that image.
So, this is where we're left. You've got an attack on a guest, a massive insult to the host, and a total wall of silence from the government. It all boils down to this one, really unsettling question. What does this all mean for India's place in the world? In this crazy, turbulent world, what role does India even want to play?